Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you a quick abstract acrylic ink painting. I'm going to try and create an idea of poppies, especially as it is Remembrance Day. I thought it would be a nice thing to paint. And at the end of the video I'll show you very quickly a few finished results with slightly different techniques, but for now let's just start with this one. So I'm going to just dip a white brush in water. Just show you the brush. Just dip it in water and create a first layer of water. Not too much water. So for another technique where you'll be playing with the canvas, moving it around to let the color pour, you can add much more water. And bear in mind as well that various surfaces absorb water differently, so you'll have to test whatever surface you have and work with the feeling, really. Work with how you feel the surface, how you feel the paint, and because you know you can't really know what result you're going to expect. Even you might use the same technique. Results can be very, very different. In fact, I'm going to do this painting first and I'll show you another one that I did earlier, and I'm pretty sure they'll end up very differently. So I'm going to add a bit of yellow. I'm using a palette to just take a little bit of paint, create a bit of background. You can just, you know, be a bit not symmetrical. Maybe add a little bit of green. I'm going to mix yellow with a bit of green to make it softer. Okay, maybe some random brush strokes like that. Then I'm going to take red paint. Actually, I'll take some yellow first and create some drops. Right. And then I'm going to try and aim with the red where I added the yellow to create the flowers. Okay. And then I'm going to take a bit of black . Right, this one already has paint. I was playing with another canvas earlier. Make sure you wear gloves because you see what's happening in here. So you can add some touches with your brush. You can add them when the paint dries if you wanted the paint to not spread around like it does at the moment, and if you wanted to just do some dots without them being spread. Okay. You can add a bit more red to be creating a slightly more intense color, but also maybe create the idea of volume. I'm going to try to just add some paint with a brush. Also maybe the idea of petals. Okay, as you can see, the paint is still spreading. If you prefer, if you like, you can dry the first layer, then come with the drops, but maybe I would still add a little bit of water, just help them spread a bit, maybe not that much. So again, if you want to cover it, or if you like this effect, you can just play around and see what works for you and what you like. Yeah, so I'm going to show you. This is very quick abstract poppies. This is the example I was working on earlier, as I was saying, very different, very different. I also have some metallic paints, so you can add some touches with golden paint, but bear in mind they don't dilute as well with water. So in here, for example, I just dropped the paint, but it will take ages to dry. I would probably recommend for you to wait for this to dry first and then add with a brush some touches with golden paint if you like. So I'm going to show you a few examples that I made before, and these were made on paper. These are some other poppies I was making. In this case, I think I waited for the layer to dry first, the first layer. Okay, but this is paper, acrylic paper, but definitely the water was being absorbed quicker, so I think that's why I had different kind of poppies as well. In this example, I have been creating layers, so I started with a very diluted layer, and then I was playing around with the paper, moving it around, letting it dry. As you can see, created some lines. I hope you can see it. And then slowly adding more intense colors, and at the end I just added some golden paint when everything dried. In this case, I kind of poured some water and added some paint, and I moved it around a little bit, but I didn't cover as much of the surface as I did with the previous one. And then once it dried, I created a pattern on top with a brush. You can try that. The other thing you can do, so this is the opposite technique. I actually painted first, so you can use normal acrylic paint, you can use acrylic ink. In this case, this is metallic acrylic ink. I drew the leaves first, painted the leaves first, let them dry, and then added the explosion of color at the end. And for these little splashes, I just used a brush dipped in black ink, and I just, gently hit the brush against my finger, and then I created this kind of little dots effect. Okay, and this is a very similar one. I did the background first, let it dry, and then drew the flower on top with black ink. So I hope this video was useful. I hope you get to experiment. That's all it is with ink, with art in general. And at the end of the day, if you think that you really don't like the result, you can just cover it with some paint and try again. It definitely comes with time and experimentation and practice, but even if you do have a lot of practice, you still never know what to expect, especially with acrylic paint. I mean, with the ink, which makes it more exciting because you're working with what's there, with what's going with the flow. You're in the moment, trying to see and be curious and explorative and experimental. So that's what I like, that's what keeps you in the moment. And yeah, you just see what kind of results you're getting, and it's lovely. It's lovely to just take some time and create. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll try it.